I mean, the sex thing is obviously a wonderful thing, but to be honest, the pattern I found myself in and what was called love addiction, who my therapist broke it down, was like that feeling of being like, oh, I'm in love, and this that honeymoon period that people call it. I was addicted to that feeling. When that feeling would go away and the real part of relationships came, I was like, okay, do I want this or not? Like, I wasn't ready to do the work.
You was out.
Yeah, it was ready. I wasn't ready to do the work.
He might be the type of person that never like really settles with somebody. Maybe he's like he's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower. I don't know. I wish him nothing but joy and happiness,
As soon as news broke out that Common and Jennifer Hudson were dating, the whole internet jumped on the bandwagon to try and warn Jennifer to get out of that situation before it was too late. Everyone knows that Common is a walking red flag, and that his romantic life is messier than someone trying to make drunk 2 a.m. chili and wrecking the kitchen. No? Just me? Oh, okay then. Anyway, now it seems like she's finally seeing some of the flags herself, and she's reportedly been scared off from marrying him. You know I've got the tea, so come sit down and I'll tell you all about it. In case you didn't know, Jennifer Hudson is in a relationship with rapper Common, and they recently announced their relationship publicly on her talk show.
Anyone.
So, yes, and I'm in a relationship that is with one of the most beautiful people I ever met in life. And she's smart, she loves God, she has something real down to earth about her. She's talented, but I set my standard kind of high because she had to have an EGOT. She had to win an Oscar on her first movie. I set my standard high. She had to get her own talk show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not coming right out and saying it, but he's referring to EGOT winner Jennifer Hudson. And people have been seriously concerned for her because they're afraid that she'll end up as collateral damage in Common's string of conquered women. But sources from Hudson's camp are now saying that she's fully aware of his messy dating history and she's not into the idea of marrying him. With Common's rap sheet, who could blame her, honestly? To start, Common's first public relationship was with Kim Jones, with whom he had an adorable daughter. They broke up when his daughter was a year old. Common was dating Erykah Badu from 2000 to 2002. They collaborated together in a few songs as well. He dated Taraji P. Henson in 2005. They kept the relationship hush-hush for the most part. At that time, Common was one of the longest relationships Taraji had been in, and she said if things had been left up to her, they'd have been married.
Common was the last real long-term relationship I had. After that, I was like, I don't want, because my son was sad. He was sad when we broke up. And the fact that
Taraji was supposedly the woman that Common's mom liked the most. But wait, because Taraji is just the third on a very long list. Next was Serena Williams, and they broke up in 2010, with Serena allegedly being the one to break it off.
We got a great understanding, and I care about her as a person. It's not like every person you talk to every other day, but you still have that respect and you have love for them and want to see them do.
Then he dated Angela Rye, with the two breaking up and getting back together only to break up again. Then he started dating Tiffany Haddish, and Tiffany has sang from the mountaintops that Common was the best boyfriend she'd ever had. She even said things like, if Common was going to propose, she wanted him to do it with an apartment building. She was definitely not subtle about what she wanted from him. Then there's the string of women who were question marks, like Ava DuVerne, Jaguar Wright, and Chadwick Boseman's widow Simone. Looking at that long list, it's pretty apparent that Common has some commitment issues. It's not all about him though. Jennifer has actually been saying for a while that she'd never get married after her toxic relationship with WWE star David Otunga left her emotionally scarred. She just doesn't think marriage is for her, and she's sworn off getting married or rushing any relationship after what happened with David. David and J-Hud met in 2008, started dating, and were engaged pretty quickly. Actually, it was on September 12, 2008, Jennifer's 27th birthday. But they were one of those couples who were just sort of permanently engaged. They were engaged for almost 10 years.
So the last time you were here, you were engaged, and it has been, how long have y'all been together? 9 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 years.
So no rush to get married? You're not in a rush?
I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah, who cares,
He ain't
right?
going nowhere.
But then things got ugly when David allegedly found out Jennifer was cheating on him, and David accused her of hooking up with producer Molly Music. Jennifer never acknowledged those accusations, neither to confirm or deny them. But when she later got a protective order against David, she did touch on the subject and said that he'd called her repeatedly during a recording session and got their son to record it. In a specific instance, Hudson claims Otunga, 37, called her repeatedly while she was at a recording session. When she didn't pick up his calls, the star claims her ex then asked their 8-year-old son, David Otunga Jr., to record the scene. Imagine being so shady that you dragged your 8-year-old son into it. She also said, "I seek this order of protection against David and request that this court grant me exclusive possession of my residence on an emergency basis because of David's increasingly aggressive, threatening, and behavior toward me. I believe that if David is given notice, he will physically harm me, continually me, and or take action against my property, or seek to sequester my son, David Jr." She also said the same night that he had their son recording her with Molly Music, he grabbed David Jr. in one hand and then pushed her with the other. Otunga grabbed the 8-year-old in one hand and then with the other allegedly physically pushed her out of the bathroom within their master bedroom, which she says they haven't shared in more than 6 months. After that, they went through a really unpleasant custody battle where she said David kidnapped their son. She says David went and picked their son up without notifying her, and that the only way she knew was because the school uses a safety app and it notified her. Even more than that, she says that David used her for clout, was a freeloader, and said he should get a job. David says Jennifer is simply a liar when she grouses to the judge in their custody war that he needs to get a job, because he says she knows he already has one. David's argument to that was that J-Hud worked so much that he was essentially David Jr.'s primary caregiver from the moment he was born. He says her claim is ironic because 5 years ago she gave him an ultimatum, telling him he had to either choose wrestling or his family. Translation, she was the person who stopped him from wrestling full-time. Otunga says he is employed with the WWE in addition to working on other entertainment projects. He also says it's nervy for Hudson to grouse about money when she makes between $8 million and $13 million per season just for The Voice. He then takes a shot, saying she's focused on money while he's focusing on taking care of their 8-year-old son. Because Jennifer made the DV allegations, police investigated David, clearing him a few months later. She then dropped her order of protection against him with the stipulation that he could never come back onto her property. We'll never really know what went down between David and Jennifer. They both call the other liars, and it's easy to pick one side or the other, but none of us were there, so we can't say for sure. J had survived DV at the hands of her ex, allegedly, and whole ass got an order of protection against him. And that was a man she was with for almost a decade. It was definitely a toxic situation, so it's not any surprise that she's not quick to be locked down. When the source said that Jennifer didn't want to find herself in another toxic relationship, they were undoubtedly referring to her past with David. But there's another reason that Jennifer doesn't want to marry Common. After her engagement went south, Jennifer was adamant she would never marry, that it just isn't in the cards for her. But then Common came into her life and swept her off her feet. Apparently, even though she's completely enamored by Common, she's really concerned that he's got a past with a whole roster of famous women. And sources say she's balking at the idea of making a decision that could negatively impact her life. Common is doing everything he can to reassure J-Hud that he's in it for the long haul and totally committed to her, according to the source, but she's still not keen on the idea of marrying him. Common tells Jen, despite his past with so many famous women, he's in the relationship for keeps. But Jen felt that way when she was engaged for 9 years and doesn't want to end up with a broken marriage and be back at square one. That's honestly the most relatable thing I've read all day. Common may actually be ready to settle down and get married. He said not long ago that he'd done therapy and some introspection and found that he may actually be ready for marriage at some point soon.
You, the marrying type, do you think this one could be the one?
We're going there.
I like that in you. I like
Because
that.
you're different.
Yeah.
You just said it.
I
You're
mean,
like, I'm a different guy now.
Listen, I feel like I have grown, and the work that I've done on myself has allowed me to see that I am a marrying type. I am the type that I'm capable. I had a capacity, and I, at some point in my life, I may want to do that. Just I would know when the right time is, and I think for me, everything is divine. Like I work from that discernment that God speaks, you know, when he speaks into your stomach and you feel it in your heart and your spirit. So, you know, when I would feel that, I would communicate with that person, and if she's feeling that, then that would
Then
be
why
that.
not?
Well, apparently, she's not feeling that. Isn't it sort of ironic that Tiffany Haddish was over here ready to get married to him, and he was like, nah. And now he's ready to marry J. Hud, and she's shutting him down? But one thing that other people are quick to question is the fact that Jennifer knew exactly what his dating past was like and still decided she wanted to give him a try for some reason. It doesn't make a lot of sense to people that she'd entered a relationship with someone knowing full well that there'd be some problems and questions because of his past commitment issues. And now she's, what, maybe thinking about leaving him? Or is she just content to stay his girlfriend and never really progress the relationship past that? I mean, it's like she entered the relationship knowing they both had issues and trauma, and now that he's ready to kind of work past that, or at least try, she's pushing back and digging her heels in. And some people are not here for it. Personally, I think she thought he seemed like fun. And once she hung out with him, she decided she was right and wanted to keep that up. I don't think she's thought much past that. I've actually been there myself. It might be a bad idea, but that's why she's keeping her distance. For all we know, J. Hud could be a bad idea for him too, especially if you take into consideration all the smack David Otunga talked about her. I think given the fact that they haven't even been dating that long, everybody should slow the roll and stop thinking about wedding bells until they get life together figured out personally. Anyway, that's what I think, but now I want to hear what you think about all this in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.